This episode is for Friday, January 29th, 2016, or 2006, as Ben likes to call it.
Yes.
Welcome, Trader fans. I'm your host, Josh Owens, along with my co-host,
Ben Strahan. Hello, everybody.
Welcome, Ben.
Welcome, Josh. Wonderful to see you, brother.
Ben, the MDG inside man.
Oh man, what a coincidence. Kind of humbled with all that stuff. It's fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. So if you don't know, guys, Ben just put up a new show called Transmission. And you guys hit the top 150 for a tech podcast on iTunes. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah. After being released only for 3 days.
Yeah.
Got a lot of press and all that stuff, and it's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool. Yeah. It's kind of like, it just confirms, like, I don't think it's anything special that I did. I'm just glad to be part of it. It just confirmed that
everybody's hungry for MDG input.
Yes, exactly. This is something that has been needed. It's almost like people are kind of starving to hear it. And not that like MDG doesn't put out or communicate with us. It's just like there was a lack of a human element. I would have to say, like, that's probably a way to describe it.
Yeah.
Things felt a little too corporate and everything.
Well, I mean, it's all just online blog posts and forum. So yeah, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, you get what was called Dev Shop, and now you get the Meteor Night and that kind of stuff, and that's okay. But it's not the same. I don't. Are they even taking Twitter questions anymore at that thing? I didn't even watch the last one.
You know what? The last one, they didn't mention Twitter once, so I don't think so. I was on the Meteor forum or the YouTube chat during the last one, and I think they took one question from there.
Yeah. So I mean, it's definitely not as interactive. So it's nice to like have you guys highlighting forum stuff and responding to it. And I'm looking forward to Sashko having a better mic.
I was relieved that was the number one comment.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was very amused by that person that you paid money to make that first YouTube comment.
I did not pay anyone.
No, I know you didn't. But that was very.
I read that comment. I'm like, really? Come on, guys! Like, I appreciate you're a fan of mine, and Ben is on this show, and he does an awesome job, and I appreciate him being here. But like, let's be supportive. That comment was unnecessary.
Yeah, there was a dude that said, "What did he say? Obviously, Josh Owens is the talent behind all the podcasts."
Yeah, he said
that was directed at me.
He's like, the first exciting thing was like in 14 minutes a psycho guy walked by. I'm like, I didn't even make it that far. Now I gotta watch that far to see the guy walk by in 14 minutes.
So behind the scenes, what people don't know is, so that guy is actually a real creep.
Crazy.
So for the whole show, you couldn't see it, but when I was sitting there at my angle, I could see him, and there was a guy over there just like looking at me like this the whole show. Like big eyes, and he like come over the edge and just like eke over the edge. Finally, at the 14-minute mark, he like finally really walked out, and you only see him for a second in the video. But the whole time I was recording, I'm like, whoa, who is this guy staring at me through the window?
I don't know. I may not get to see it. I'll have to fast forward to 14 minutes, but I generally listen to stuff when I run. So like my long run, I got that queued up this weekend for my own.
I was astonished at how many people watched it on YouTube. I think we're closing to 1,000 there.
They've got a good subscription base on YouTube. So
yeah, I think that's
Dev Shop has helped kind of build that up a lot. So
yeah.
Which, I mean, if you guys also don't realize, like, I've got a YouTube channel, and I put these podcasts up weekly so you can see our smiling faces.
That's right.
Yeah. That's crazy haircut.
Oh, my gosh. It's just getting crazier, dude. I don't know what to do with it. Oh, it's looking pretty good now.
Yeah, nice. Just wear your hat and then take it off. And then
I'll leave that.
Looks good. There. All right. Let's get into it, man.
Let's do this, bro.
So we're going to talk about testing with Meteor 1.3, reactive GraphQL, a React primer for Meteor, and optimizing your React performance. Blah, blah, blah. All right.
You have to optimize React? What?
Guess so. I don't know. You tell us. So
Yeah, no, it's a great article.
yeah, like I kind of looked over it and read a little bit and liked it, so I threw it in the creator. But yes, so a first implementation of Meteor app testing for 1.3. This was actually posted in the Meteor forums. I popped it up on Creator as well because I wanted to get a lot more eyeballs on it. And I think I was talking to someone about this. I think the forums are good for having some discussions, but the problem is like so much discussion happens in there, things easily get lost. And so I think Creator is really good at like highlighting and getting a lot of eyeballs on something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I posted it over there, and basically Tom was talking about some of the work that Avatal has been doing with a new command in the tool called Meteor Test App, and basically they've built a Mocha driver using Ronin Badayoff's, I guess that's how you say it, package. And it allows you to easily integrate Mocha tests into your app, so you can start to do integration testing using Mocha, which I thought was really really interesting. So I think if you look at like testing and the different modes you get like unit testing, and then you get integration testing, and then you have end to end testing. Integration testing is kind of in there in the middle. Unit testing, I think people have already been talking about that, and I think the way the modules work, it's going to be pretty easy to get going and stuff. So you don't have to worry about that too much. But the integration testing is the hard part, and this is the part that always kind of like Velocity struggled with as well. Like you have to load up Meteor, and then you have to do something to be able to run those tests against like the full Meteor stack to get that integration or the pieces you're curious about testing. And so if you think about it, this is like where you'd maybe do some pub sub testing or that kind of thing. And then you've got the full end-to-end testing, which is open up a browser and click through essentially like a user would do and make sure things come out the way you want them to be, right? So no database peeking, and then so yeah, this is more about the integration testing. I'm happy to see that they're working on it. It makes me maybe a little sad that we've ditched Velocity and now we're going to something that's also been around for a while. Like it's clear they didn't think about this ahead of time. Like this has been around almost as long as Velocity. Like Ronin was part of the original Velocity team, so we probably could have done this a while ago without too much heartburn. But I'm glad to see it's happening now.
It's happening.
Yeah.
This is what we wanted. I mean, I think, Sam had to make the tough call, and he did. And that kind of like, I don't know, spurred things on a little bit. And now we're here. We got testing officially supported. It's awesome. At the same time, like Aeronota came out with Mantra, and you could see unit testing in his Mantra examples. And so I think that's what you were alluding to, like with the new module system, unit testing.
Yeah. So Pete's got a good article up on it too.
Yes, yeah, and we did report on that too. Yep, Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, I'm stoked. It's good stuff. Sashko said in our talk that like testing is a cornerstone that he is finally really happy to say is officially supported by Meteor, and it's been a part that's been missing for a long time. So
absolutely. Well, I mean, like it's in a weird state, right? Like the Velocity group decided something needed to be done, and so they tried, and MDG stamp, but
it has been a weird story. It has been, but now things have finally, Anywho, the past is the past. I'm happy with what I'm seeing. How we got here, let's not talk about it.
Yeah,
we're just going. Let's go with it.
You can't just pretend nothing happened, but you're right. I'm glad that there's an easy way. And I think, the hope is what we'll see out of this is maybe a slightly more extensible tool that we can tap into now. And, this Meteor test app, maybe we can find other ways to hook into it. So it's not just Ronan's implementation, but other people can build an implementation that works, and you kind of get this really good, tight kind of integration with your app, and you're able to test it. So, I think in the future, like I said, I'm glad to see that they're working on it. And they put a good guy on it. I like Avatal, so
yeah. You could see that they have a guide article about it.
Yes.
Link to it, and that was something that Sashko kind of touched on, where they want to do guide-driven development. Like they'll put a guide out there or a blog post, like what Sashko did with reactive GraphQL, and that kind of like puts their feet to the fire. That also like opens up and tells us what they're working on.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so I like that, because now they have expectations that they are literally putting themselves under, and the community's job is to like keep them responsible for that. And I like that.
Yeah. I think documentation-driven development was coined by maybe Tom Preston Werner, and like I've always been a fan of the idea, especially for open source, or I think as it was initially called, like README-driven development, like write the README, say what you want the thing to do, and like even by expressing some of that, you're going to have people come along and they'll be like, oh, it doesn't quite do that yet, but I clearly see your intentions. Here's a pull request. Nice. Maybe that's a little magical, but I like the idea of it myself. So I'm glad they're doing it, and like you can definitely see, like there was what day was it? It's like Tuesday or something when they talked about reactive GraphQL. There was like this orchestrated, like, here's all the things we're working on that seemed to all get posted all about the same time. And
it was like, Monday or Tuesday. Oh my gosh,
it was nice, right? Like I'm glad to see like Evan's talking about his work, Ben's talking about his work. Like he's been pretty open about it, but now we're seeing this testing stuff posted. Like it's good. I'm liking it.
Yeah. Small team. They all are like kicking butt in different areas.
So what is this reactive GraphQL, Ben? Tell me.
Yeah, so Sashko kind of threw out this blog post the day after we released a podcast. And I was like, what is this fun stuff? I didn't even hear about it. Yeah. Anywho, so inside scoop, he's like working with the GraphQL team over at Facebook. And the whole thing is like this is potentially massive. Your developers, like massive. They are working on reactive GraphQL. Not only will it work phenomenally well for Meteor apps, where it's gonna have the same, or it's gonna, we're used to like building query strings on the client side, and then everything just works. Like that's what he wants to accomplish. But the big news is here, like we can go through the list one by one, but the big news that caught me, and I'm curious what you're thinking, Josh, is they're going to make a server layer for existing apps. And so then we'll throw GraphQL Meteor layer in there. So then existing apps, existing like Rails and Python and all those apps can have a reactive client. And it's powered by reactive GraphQL, which is, I don't know how much Meteor is going to be in there. This is exciting. And the other exciting thing is multiple databases. But
right. Well, so the interesting thing is by creating that layer, you start to decouple the fact that it's a database behind there or REST endpoint or anything else, And so, I mean, that's the hardest thing, right? Like everyone's like, oh, where's SQL support going to come from? Where's it going to come from? When's it going to be here? Like actually doing mini SQL or mini Postgres or whatever you want to call it, like that actually turned out to be a terrible idea. And I blogged about this, that, the Postgres experiment seemed to go nowhere. And then Sashko talked about it a little bit in the forums, like he didn't really view the experiment as a failure because they learned that there's a lot of changes that have to happen, integrate Postgres, like mini Postgres into some of the stuff. Like if you look at user accounts, like that's totally opinionated towards Mongo, and you'd really have to rethink a lot of that and kind of separate it out. And if you're going to do that, like you'd have to do it for each little implementation you're going to write. And instead, what makes more sense is if we're just consuming GraphQL and we're able to get the data there, like it doesn't matter what the backend is written in. It's been disconnected now from the front end, but you still have a way to get that data there, and it looks the same to the client. And we've got this query language that's in the middle, right?
Yes.
So I think to me that's super smart, and I love that they're ambitious in the fact that they're directly working with Facebook and that they want to be, a server layer that sits in front of like any endpoint, be it database or REST. I think that's smart as well. Like if I look at, what do I do when I'm building an app? I'm either writing publications on the server or I'm consuming some kind of REST data. So,
super stoked.
Yeah.
This also opens up the whole world of where you don't need to use Meteor for greenfield projects only. Like this is with module support coming in, with NPM support coming in, and now with this news of reactive GraphQL, like Meteor is going to launch. Like I think we're going to see our community like this grow.
Yeah. My biggest concern here, I'm excited about it, but at the same time, with the ambition of the goal is, how are they going to manage that project? Because, I think if you look at Facebook or Rails, like they do a good job of working with the open source community. And I think if you have a goal of being able to sit in between a lot of these different kinds of frameworks and whatnot, you're going to have a lot of people coming in. So my hope is they get a good handle on like how they're going to manage this open source project, because I think that's going to be super important.
Well, and this sounded like that it's going to be a whole separate team over at Meteor.
Right.
The data team.
Right.
So they do recognize exactly what you're recognizing, which is like if we go this route, it's going to be it needs to have a significant portion of our attention. And so they're building a whole team off for that to be dedicated to it. Sashko's going to be on it. I'm pretty excited. Seems like they saw what you just talked about. So
yeah. I posted, I don't know, did we talk about it last week? Like some of the stats that I found?
Oh, I don't think we did, but they're super interesting.
Yeah. So, I'm looking at the stats now, and I'd love for you guys to talk about this.
Actually, I think we did talk about it now that I'm recalling it.
Yeah,
we should mention it again.
Commits per contributor. And then I'm still not quite sure what exactly the forks to stars ratio shows us, but Meteor and Node are at like 12% forks to stars, which is really, really low. Whereas like Angular's at 46 and Rails is at 41. So I thought that was really interesting, considering like, Nodes had a split off and they've come back together now. And I was actually looking at their newer repo, not their older repo. So they have two repos.
So I don't know, if you do a fork, like I guess it tells us like, okay, stars are people who are using it, who like it, who played with it. Forks are people who want to
contribute.
Yeah. And so that's what the ratio will show you, how much of your user base is actually contributing to the core.
Right. And I think the other interesting thing is, I think to me, 12% indicates a number or a problem, right? Like that number indicates a problem, because obviously like nodes splitting off and then coming back together was a problem.
Yeah.
I think it made the community better, but I think it indicates that something's fishy going on there with Meteor as well. I don't know. Maybe it's just they've just gotten a huge influx of stars somewhere. Which, I mean, if you remember, they had that campaign for contributing to Code Now, and they got a bunch of stars. So maybe that was it. I don't know. But.
Yeah, that was that always felt like they were kind of like really pulling at people's heartstrings to get stars instead of like on their own merits. But
whatever, it worked.
Whatever. And now that I see everything that's coming, I'm not talking for MDG because I have no idea really, but there's so much change going right now. I think MDG I could see where someone will want to like be like, oh, we got to really like stay under control on this. We can't just let our framework kind of like go. where like maybe where the community wants to see it go, because we don't really know. We see all this change coming to JavaScript. Now it seems like the future is pretty clear on where things are going, and we should have a talk about this in like 6 months and see if things have changed. See if the community is more involved in the core or not. Because I feel like with less churn that's going to be happening, we know where things are going. I'm hoping that they would open up more. That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
I could see why they didn't in the past.
Yeah.
I don't think it's so much like a Node thing, like what happened with Node. Although it's number wise, it looks similar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, any other big things that we should talk about on this reactive GraphQL? I mean, it's on Meteor's blog.
Yeah, totally. I think you should read it. I think it's
Absolutely.
interesting. I'm really really curious to see this come out as well. Like, what's this going to look like performance wise? Like, we're gonna completely tear away the current pub sub implementation, and it's gonna change our notions of like how to scale and stuff. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They had a nod at Relay in the article, so you can kind of like, God, the article's just so rich with like, if you know the possibilities that come from this article, that's why it's so important to read.
indeed. All right.
Okay.
So before we get into the next one, React Primer for Meteor. It's from Sasha. I also wanted to mention, I didn't really have enough space in the number of articles we had, but he also posted a state of Telescope. And so if you're interested or using Telescope and you're not already like helping out, I think it's important to step up and help out. I think it's been a lot of work on Sasha, and he's still going to continue on with it, but he's taking a little bit of a step back to not be as actively engaged on building new versions right now. And it's certainly, I think some of it is the current state of flux. Like, it feels very confusing about Blaze and React still. I spent 25 minutes talking with a client today, and they're still not sure if they want to go with Blaze or React. And I feel like we're still like drinking our tea and reading the leaves at the bottom to figure out what's the best one to go with. But
yeah,
anyway, if you want to help out, I think Sasha's totally open to taking some open source help.
it's a great project to work out on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're going to get some exposure. Your code's going to matter. It's like one of the top 5 apps that are fired up on Heroku.
Yeah.
Right
And
now.
I think it's actually written pretty well from a like structural standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
You can add packages and do all kinds of interesting things.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, if you want to like dive in and work on a production level Meteor app and see what it takes to like get it out the door, there you go.
Yep.
And like Crater's built on top of Telescope, and like you get huge numbers. So yeah, guys, contribute. That's a really exciting project to be a part of. It has a really cool Slack room too, Slack channel. So you guys should get on the Telescope channel.
So the other thing that
people
Sasha's done is he's been kind of converting. I think he's been converting Microscope to React, and he's got like 9 or 10 episodes on YouTube that are worth watching. And he's been talking about it little by little, like what he's been doing in each one. But now he's put together like all of his learnings into like one kind of big post. Like it's worth taking a look at. He's done a lot of research and playing around and trying to get everything working, and it's all been kind of distilled into this document.
Mm-hmm.
I would highly recommend it. He even points out, the interesting thing to me is that mixins are kind of going away, and React Meteor data is a mixin, and so like he talks about how like it's probably going to be going away, but for now it works. So it's probably okay to use, and Meteor is probably going to come up with something that shouldn't be too hard to migrate to if you're using the current mixin.
Yeah, so that's really astute of him to have links to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just did a quick breeze through the whole thing, and I am really impressed with what he laid out here and how simply he laid it out.
Mm-hmm.
So he talks about mixins. That's really cool. He also talks about functional stateless components, which is also a really good thing to get your mind around.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes into a little bit of structuring your component, like component level subscriptions.
Yep.
It really is a great write up. It
Yeah.
doesn't take long to go through. And he also like kind of pegs all the little future things that might be happening soon.
Yeah. Or the gotchas, like,
Uh-huh.
watch out for this, that kind of thing.
Yeah, integrating with one of the big things that are difficult. People moving to React are going to be really surprised when they get this. Is like working with other third-party libraries or jQuery plugins. Like sometimes you're going to be like racking your brain on how you're going to do that because React's going to be controlling the DOM, and then do you want jQuery to control it? Well, sometimes you do. So he even jumps into that.
Yeah. Yeah, I've noticed, like, I haven't really used a lot of jQuery stuff with React yet, but a lot of people say, like, you got to be careful with what you do because React is keeping, like, its own copy, and jQuery
Yeah.
mod something that's not modded in their copy. So.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So like you gotta, if you're gonna be touching that DOM, you have to do it after it's created. But then if you change it in React, that whole DOM element's destroyed. You get a new DOM element back. So you got to re-implement any of your jQuery stuff, like all that state and everything, or whatever jQuery was doing is not there. So there's different ways on how to do that. React is actually built around that, so they have the methods needed to almost like do anything, along with animations and all that stuff. So that's exciting. And hello, Mr. Train. How are you doing today?
Oh man, I muted myself for a second. I had a sneeze coming. Now my eyes are like watering because it didn't come. That's sad. You hate when that happens.
You guys all know the secret on how not to sneeze, right?
No, well, I wanted to sneeze. Like it needed to come out.
Yeah. Well, if you don't want to sneeze and instead you want to give yourself a headache and have your eyes almost pop out, serious, keep your eyelids open. You could even hold them open. The fact that your eyelids can't close, it won't sneeze. It's so weird. And it doesn't make sense to me, but I haven't found one person yet.
Well, it does, right?
I could sneeze with my eyes open.
If you need to get the sneeze out, I've always found like looking at the sun helps, and maybe that's why, because like I close my eyes. I don't know. Weird.
We're the experiment. Life hack.
Life hack.
If you're on a podcast, you can't sneeze all the time, right? But they can't see you so much, so it's okay to look like a fool. Yeah. You look like this, and you're like, no one can see you though. Now everyone has to watch YouTube.
Because now we look like idiots.
Yes. Yeah.
Look like a 3-year-old making a face.
Oh my gosh. Fun stuff.
So tell us, how do we make our React more performant?
Okay, so like this is like kind of fun. This is another play on words, but it's like totally true. But a lot of people come to React because of performance.
Mm-hmm.
I remember back in the day when people were all talking about Famous, and then one of the things that still stands out to me about Famous is they had like a Famous Day out there or Famous Conf or something small. And the guys from Facebook over at the React team came over there and they're like, hey, look, we just made the most performant DOM thing ever, these animations with Famous that is, but it's being executed through React. And so then all of a sudden everyone started diving into React because they wanted performant DOM.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes a lot of sense. And that's what their whole argument is they're saying, hey, like we make the DOM fast by not messing with the DOM that much. And we have a virtual DOM, which is in JavaScript. And JavaScript is fast. The DOM is slow. And that's the main thing. So now this article comes out and says, optimizing React performance. And it's totally true. Like you kind of need this. So now that you have the virtual DOM, there are some tricks that you need to know in order to increase performance. And it's a two-part article. Is part 2 out? Let me
I
see.
it was
I'm opening up right now. Yes, it is out now.
yeah
We're going to report on number 1 because I didn't read part 2 yet.
yeah it's at the top. So if you click in the show notes, which we do have, you can read the article and there's a link right at the top to part 2.
Yeah, totally. So this is a two-parter, or there's 2 sections in this first article. One is showing you how you can increase the performance of the virtual DOM based off of providing indexes for elements or like keys for elements. And he runs through, and I'm really glad. Like this is a really in-depth article just on this part itself. He goes through 3 different ways on how you can achieve assigning a key to an element and how it's going to help the iteration a lot faster. Random key, index key, ID key. He covers it all, and I love it. You know what really stood out to me going through it? Like we would just do an ID key as always because that's just what we do right now.
Mm-hmm.
But what really stood out to me was the performance tools that are built into React.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
And what was printing out on the console, like I was unaware of that stuff. So I'm going to be starting to use that in my code.
Yeah, like the print inclusive, print exclusive, print wasted, print dom, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And the print wasted was really interesting. So this gets into the second part of the article, which is you have a method on your component that says, should the component update? And if you utilize that, then you could cut down a lot of React's wasted time on them computing if it should be updated or not, or if it just does it anyway. So that is where a huge amount of time savings can come in, and he goes through that pretty good in here. You got to remember when you have a virtual DOM and then you have a real DOM, the virtual DOM is going to be created, and then it's going to destroy that part of the actual DOM, the nodes in the actual DOM.
Yeah, the changes that come over from the virtual DOM will destroy what's in the actual DOM.
Mm-hmm. And that's like a big issue, like what we talk about with jQuery and all that stuff. But you got to think about it, like if you're able to fine tune that, that's where you're going to be getting a lot of performance as well.
Right, and that's different, right? Because if you look at Blaze and Meteor, like they don't keep track of the virtual DOM at all. They just kind of like go in and figure out where something is and then make a change right in the DOM.
Yeah.
And that's where you start to run into performance problems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, this is like, I don't know. I love React, but it's kind of like the German sports car, right? When you first get in it, it has all these buttons and you're like, I don't even know what to do. And someone's like, just use the pedals that you're used to. But then as you start driving it some more, then all these extra buttons and performance buttons and all stuff makes sense. And then before you know it, like you're driving better than you've ever driven before. So if you want the German sports car of view layers, get into React. It's good stuff. So yeah, I really like part 1. I'll have to read part 2 now.
Oh, wow. This is older. I think is this on Medium? No,
This is a Medium.
It just looks like Medium.
Yeah.
Clever. This article's actually older. It came out in August.
Did it really?
Yeah. I didn't realize that when I found it.
Wow. Well, you know us, man. We just love not being relevant. We're just like, no, this is very relevant. Very relevant.
Yeah, definitely.
Nothing's changed with the advice that he's given in that article. So
yeah,
right on. I really like this new 4-topic strategy that we got going on here.
Yeah, I think it works out well.
Yeah,
let's just go a little bit deeper. Like we were going deeper anyway, but it keeps the timeline, closer to the 30-minute mark because we're windbags.
And we like to BS sometimes about stuff. So
yeah, like
I don't want to be just like dry news, like WBBM. This is the news for today. Like, I know, man. Can't be serious. What do you expect from me? Anywho,
today in Donald Trump land. Just kidding.
I can't stand Donald Trump. I'm so scared if he becomes president.
Oh my gosh, my 11-year-old, like she like dislikes him with such passion. It's quite funny to watch. She's like, I want to leave this country if he gets elected. I'm like, okay, well, clearly you guys have been talking about this at school.
How old is your daughter again?
11. Yeah, she's like,
She's going to be a little activist.
she's ready to escape to Canada if he gets elected.
All right. Yeah, actually, I made a joke to the OK Growers about that. Like, hey, I'm going to join you in Canada if Trump gets elected.
Yeah, give me citizenship, guys. Stat.
But Canada's not doing too good either.
Yeah.
So I think we should just go escape to like a warmer climate. If the governments are just going to go at it, why not?
What? So have you worked on anything interesting this week, Ben? No.
Big props to the people who maintain the Fastlane repo project. Basically, what it is it's a scripted way on how to do all the crap that you need to do to submit an app to the App Store.
Nice. Are you using that for that project you have?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I got
bought by Twitter, didn't it?
No, but the core maintainers the core maintainer got hired by Twitter, and Twitter's like, hey, work on Fastlane.
All right.
So that's cool, but it's used by everyone
pretty
much. Like all the huge companies use it. They post some of their example fast files online, like Wikipedia and stuff like that, so you can see how they're implementing it.
So it's like a CI build tool for your app. Your mobile app.
Yeah. It's like it's built in Ruby, but it's like a
Ruby.
I don't care. I just need
kidding.
API. I just need to get shit done.
Yeah.
Anywho, it does it, man. I'm just stoked. I'm stoked that okay. So it would take, if you're really fast, dealing with provisioning profiles, hacking, Xcode, working out problems, you can submit an app in 3 hours, right?
Using Fastlane or by hand?
No, just by yourself, right?
If you're lucky.
Yeah. I mean, this is after a little bit. It's not the fastest.
Dude,
not the slowest. It's
I felt like I knew a lot. And we had our cert expire, our developer cert. And that took me, it felt like 2 days to get straight.
Oh my gosh. Because it's such a long feedback loop to figure out what you did. And then even when it's hard to figure out what is wrong.
Yeah.
What you need to change.
Yeah, because the errors aren't intuitive, and Stack Overflow is like, well, no, maybe it's one of these 10 things. Sorry. And you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Terrible.
So Fastlane kind of just it just makes it simple. It's like it has its own issues. It's an abstraction of, they actually scrape the UI and stuff too. So it's not perfect. It's not a magic bullet, but I have over 300 apps to submit to the App Store, and I'm kicking them out in 10 minutes.
Nice.
And doing Android as well. And we got our own bash script as well that does a free a pre setup with Meteor and all that stuff. But I'm stoked. I am so stoked. So much
crazy.
That's the throw off for me. Sorry, man. A little bit more, too much time, but they really deserve props, man. Fast.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Yeah. How about you, man? What are you working on? What's interesting?
I have actually been working to revamp my Mastering Meteor course. So it's on Meteor 1.3, React, modules, all that jazz. So I'm excited.
That sounds exciting.
Yeah. And then the other big thing is just renaming all the Meteor Club stuff is going to be switching to Space Dojo. And so trying to, there's a lot of little mentions of Meteor Club that need shifted and changed. So trying to get all that, but kind of excited.
I'm really excited.
Yeah.
1.3 is really a shift in Meteor, I believe. You're going to have testing, you have better Cordova integration, you can have modules. And is there a professional level teaching or a class on that, including React and how all that will integrate? No.
Nope. So
I'm stoked, man.
There will be.
Well, you got can I put your feet to the fire? You got an ETA for this?
Well, the live class is February 22nd and 23rd, and right now people can get that for $2.99 with the early bird code.
That's a deal.
Yeah, I dropped the price. It used to be $4.99. I dropped it to $3.99, and then early bird for the next half a week, you can get $100 off that. So $2.99.
Are you capping the limit of people that are going to be in on this?
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm going to cap it at 16. Just so we don't get overwhelmed with questions and stuff. I still want to be able to get through all the material, but I want to have time. If people do have questions, they can ask them. But I think going up to like 24 people might just be a little too much based on my previous experience.
Where do people go to sign up for this? Like, it's killer.
Yeah.
On that? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, man.
The link will be at spacedojo.com, but I've got a blog post up too on thoughts.spacedojo.com. The latest post about Space Dojo has a link.
Can they follow someone on Twitter to like get to know when like a page comes out or something like that? Like, how can
like little softballs from
I don't know. I'm just like stoked about this, guys. You know why I'm stoked about this? Not only will it be really good, a really good class and relevant because we're missing relevant classes on all the changes that are happening to Meteor, but Josh Owens is teaching it. He's amazing, right? And this is how our friendship started.
That's true. Yeah.
When I took the Mastering Meteor class.
You did. You took the bundle, right? Like you took that.
Later,
class.
I took the testing one. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is like where it started, man. This is my in to get this guy's attention and start and be like, hey, my name's Ben. How's it going?
Yeah. Totally true. Yeah. So just follow the Space Dojo on Twitter, and I'll be putting stuff there.
Cool. Stoked. Fun stuff.
Excited. And if you haven't checked it out yet, you can go to podcast.meteor.js.club. That'll change soon. It'll be show.spacedojo.com. But we just put out today a React Native show, which was super awesome because we got to talk to Bonnie, who wrote the Learning React Native book. So she was dropping some knowledge on us. Super exciting.
I had a fun time with that show.
Yeah, definitely. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. And as always, modulus.io is our sponsor. So if you're looking for hosting, check them out. Although I will say, I think next week I'm going to get that building your own galaxy blog post out, and that uses DigitalOcean. But if you don't want to spend like hours configuring Nginx, Modulus is the place to go.
I do not want. I'm glad I have friends like you.
Yeah.
Because I do not want to do that.
I enjoy it myself, but I used to do WebPulp TV, and we talked about like scaling and hosting and all that kind of stuff. So I'm a geek about that. And then Patreon, I don't know, it may go away soon. I think it might just be at Space Dojo. You'll be able to sign up, but you can go to Patreon, patreon.com/Meteor Club. $10 a month will get you into the Space Dojo Slack channel, the best JavaScript Slack channel on the planet. Really,
it is. I'm part of a lot of Slack channels, and this one definitely lives up to the hype of a premium one.
Nice.
Yeah, and the best one, the best.
Yeah,
premium.
You're in Wes's React channel too, aren't you?
I am. Yes.
Yeah.
And I held off from making a Meteor channel.
And someone did it anyway, huh?
Someone did it anyway. It's huge.
Yeah.
It's getting really big. A lot of talk.
Nice. Yeah. Exciting. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week.
See ya.
This video has been a Meteor Club production. You can find out more information about Meteor Club and join the mailing list by clicking on the Meteor Club button below. If you enjoyed this video, you can also hit the subscribe button below and get more content like this. Thanks for watching.